Your roadmap to the latest in auto. Welcome to Highway Herald. Trump's flashy $2 trillion Gulf tour may have looked like a power move, but its ripple effects are steering Canada onto a new trade route. As U.S. promises clash with economic reality, Canada is shifting gears, reducing reliance on American markets and accelerating toward diversified trade deals and resilient supply chains. Buckle up as we explore how this geopolitical detour is reshaping North America's auto and trade landscape. Gulf Showroom or smoke and mirrors? Trump's Gulf tour delivered all the theatrics of a Hollywood blockbuster. Fighter jet flyovers, Tesla Cybertruck parades, and lavish, oil-funded receptions straight from a cinematic dream. But beneath the dazzling visuals came a headline-making claim: $2 trillion in future investments. That massive figure included $600 billion from Saudi Arabia, $243 billion from Qatar, and $200 billion from the UAE. While the numbers made waves, the details were far murkier. Most of the deals are non-binding, loosely defined, and depend heavily on the unpredictable fluctuations of global oil markets. Veteran economists and trade analysts quickly pointed to a familiar pattern. Trump's earlier $450 billion Saudi deal during his first term looked grand on paper, but fizzled in practice. With oil prices again sliding, doubts are mounting over the credibility of these new agreements. Adding fuel to the fire was the alleged gift of a lavish Boeing 747-8 from Qatar to Trump. Marketed as diplomacy, it raised legal alarms under the emoluments clause. In the end, critics argue the Gulf tour delivered more spectacle than substance. But while Trump was turning heads in the Gulf, another North American power was quietly making moves of its own: Canada's trade shift, from neighbors to navigators. While the U.S. was staging a spectacle to win over Gulf petrodollars, Canada was quietly recalibrating its global trade bearings. Years of volatile U.S. tariff decisions, especially on steel, aluminum, and core exports, have eroded Ottawa's trust in its southern neighbor. In response, Prime Minister Mark Carney delayed federal budget plans and shifted focus toward broadening trade ties across Asia and Europe. Canada's exports to the U.S. are steadily declining, replaced by increasing shipments to China in key sectors like crude oil, canola, and timber. Simultaneously, Ottawa is reinforcing its CETA commitments with Europe and gaining ground in Pacific trade alliances. This isn't a temporary adjustment, it's a deliberate shift toward long-term economic resilience. Canadian industries, particularly auto manufacturing and forestry, are beginning to retool for a new reality. Supply chains are being redrawn to reduce dependency on U.S. markets. Politically, the gloves are off. Ottawa slammed the U.S.'s fentanyl-based tariffs as opportunistic. While some in Washington call for reconciliation, Canada's message is clear: the age of automatic integration is in the rearview mirror. If you're enjoying this deep dive, make sure to subscribe to Highway Herald. We bring you the latest in global automotive shifts, policy shakeups, and trade tension breakdowns, because when the world shifts gears, you deserve to be in the driver's seat. And with new trade lanes forming, let's take a look at how these macro changes are hitting where it hurts: the factory floor. Tariff shockwaves hit the assembly line. For Canada's auto sector, the impact isn't theoretical. It's happening right now. In Ontario, both Stellantis and General Motors are slamming the brakes. GM has already eliminated its third shift in Oshawa, sidelining 700 workers and signaling broader turbulence ahead. While the U.S. has dialed back tariffs on parts covered under the USMCA, anything outside that scope is still subject to steep cost increases, and automakers are feeling the pinch. Consumer prices haven't spiked just yet, but experts warn that it's only a matter of time before inflation accelerates through the supply chain. Canadians may soon be paying more for sedans, SUVs, snowmobiles, and even household appliances as parts shortages and cost overruns ripple through production lines. Meanwhile, Canada's steel, aluminum, and softwood lumber industries are flashing red. Experts are calling for a more aggressive industrial policy, one that prioritizes high-value finished products over raw exports. British Columbia's $11 million push into mass timber is a strong start, but it's just the beginning. With economic storm clouds forming in the U.S., Canada isn't just reacting anymore, it's planning for independence. And as tensions mount on the production front, political maneuvering is shifting into overdrive. Power plays and political shockwaves. As Canada reshapes its economic game plan, U.S. lawmakers are hustling to reclaim lost ground. A bipartisan group of senators recently traveled to Ottawa, aiming to ease tensions and rebuild trust. But Prime Minister Mark Carney didn't sugarcoat the message. The golden era of automatic, deep integration with the U.S. is over. While collaboration isn't off the table, future ties may shift toward strategic defense initiatives, including the proposed Golden Dome missile shield, Arctic security projects, and NORAD modernization. Even the U.S. Space Force has joined the dialogue, emphasizing renewed ambitions for American dominance in aerospace. Still, satellites and missile systems can't undo years of eroding economic confidence. Meanwhile, Trump's $2 trillion Gulf tour is triggering bipartisan criticism, not just for its theatrical flair, but for its long-term implications. His easing of semiconductor export controls, flanked by tech leaders like OpenAI's Sam Altman, NVIDIA's Jensen Huang, and Elon Musk, has raised red flags. Now, as Abu Dhabi moves to build the world's largest AI campus, the Gulf is becoming a geopolitical chessboard where one wrong move could ignite global ripple effects. And while Washington debates its tech diplomacy, Ottawa is already drafting a new blueprint for continental trade. North American unity on the edge. Beneath the headlines and carefully crafted diplomatic gestures lies a more sobering reality: the gradual breakdown of North America's once reliable economic engine. What was once powered by NAFTA and mutual trust is now sputtering under the strain of retaliatory tariffs, political disconnect, and deepening uncertainty. Canada's 25 to 30% countermeasures on U.S. imports aren't simply symbolic. They're deliberate signals that Ottawa is no longer content being economically tethered to a single partner. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has floated the idea of reviving regional trade talks, but Canadian officials remain skeptical. Empty promises and recycled rhetoric aren't enough to change course. Instead, Canada's postponed federal budget is expected to launch bold investments in AI-driven manufacturing, green energy initiatives, and domestic rare earth supply chains. A clear move toward a build-at-home, stay-at-home strategy. Diplomatically, Canada is doubling down on relationships with India and Europe, expanding its footprint beyond North America. From Ontario's EV production hubs to Alberta's energy sector, supply chains are undergoing a major transformation. The North American trade blueprint isn't just evolving, it's being redrawn, and that brings us to the final verdict on where this trade shakeup could be headed. Final gear: trade turbulence with lasting torque. Trump's Gulf tour was meant to showcase America's global deal-making horsepower. But instead of a smooth ride, it's left a trail of economic uncertainty and geopolitical questions. The $2 trillion headlines grabbed attention, but without solid commitments, U.S. allies, especially Canada, are beginning to steer in a new direction. Canada's pivot isn't just emotional, it's strategic. With tech, energy, and manufacturing in flux, the country is building a more resilient, diversified economic engine. And now, the future of North American trade hangs in the balance. We want to hear from you, fellow drivers of dialogue. Will Canada's pivot make it stronger or more isolated? Is America's Gulf gamble a masterstroke or a misfire? How do these shifts affect your side of the auto world? Drop your thoughts, stories, and experiences in the comments. We read them all. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Highway Herald and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update on the fast-changing world of vehicles, global trade, and all things horsepower. Thanks for watching and see you next time. You can now check out any of the videos on the screen. There's more exciting and informative content waiting for you.